And now, recorded in front of absolutely nobody in their subterranean recording studio deep in the bowels of the Cigar Club of Indiana, it's time for the Five Stones Podcast.
All right, hello and welcome to the Five Stones Podcast. I am Roman Modulin, but one of your hosts. And joining me today, I've got Mr. Hedegaard.
What's up, everybody? I'm Colin Hedegaard, known as the Great Dane. And here's Joe.
And I am Joe Trester, known as the Real Estate Advocate.
And today, I am still smoking my faithful AJ Fernandez cigars. What do you guys got?
This is a CAO cigar I'm trying out. They're fair.
I think I'm trying out the same thing. It's moderately acceptable, but it came at a good price range. So
Looks like you two need new cigars.
yeah, we're running out. I figure this will get me through the podcast before I start a new one.
So today, I want to talk about something that Colin has brought up and see if we can define the word affordability. So, Colin, tell us what you were talking about earlier.
Well, you and I were just chatting. I did some analysis with a quarterly report about 2 years ago. We had a similar amount of loans in the pipeline of pre-approvals and things like that. But the main difference was that 2 years ago, with say 40 deals in the pipeline, we were closing 10 or 15 a month, and now with 37 in the pipeline, we're closing something to the tune of 4 a month. So maybe a fourth of, third or a fourth of the transactions. And when I dug into those, it ends up being affordability. A number of clients have asked us, "Hey, pre-approve me for 350, pre-approve me for 200." And we're coming back with, you can afford 275, you can afford 160. And so affordability defined as a challenge is that average people can't afford the average house or the house that they want.
Right, but what I heard you just say that I think is the good news is there are still the same number of people getting qualified to buy, just at a different price level.
Yes, I was pleased because we have a smaller team now and almost equal activity, as we did a couple years ago with the double the size team. So the activity is going good, which is the part we can control. The downside is the closing transactions is slower, which is the mystery of all of, what we're trying to figure out right now.
So are they not buying because they're afraid? Are they not buying because of wrong expectations? Are they not buying because sellers are asking too much money for their house?
Those are good questions. I think case by case, each one has its own answer, but a couple that come right to mind were looking at certain houses online and they thought, oh, this might fit me. And then they applied intending to have a certain house and they could not qualify for that much money.
Mr. Trester.
Well, it's something that we've been talking about the last couple of weeks is the speed in which homes have gained value. I feel like over the course of the last 2 years, homes have gained the value that we would expect to see maybe over the course of 15 to 20 years. I mean, for example, we were talking at lunch, the house that my wife and I bought 10 years ago this month, we bought for right around $115,000. We just had it appraised for $283,000, and that's within 10 years. So I mean, we're talking almost 14% year over year increase in value.
Yeah,
it makes it difficult. I think we're at that spot now where the homes are worth what they are worth, but people's income have not increased to meet the value of the homes. So, I mean, we've talked a lot in the past about something is only worth what someone can afford to pay for it. So while we are seeing that these homes are valued at a certain number, people aren't at a point where they can afford it. So is it really worth what everyone is saying it's worth?
So has your income in the last decade gone up 140%?
No.
Who's getting 14% raises out there in their regular job? 14% a year is what you said, Joe.
Yeah, for the last decade.
I think 2 and 3 and 4%, if you're even getting a raise,
Yeah,
is the norm.
Yeah. And I think what we have effectively done is we have made it, I don't want to say impossible, because there are people that make a good living by themselves. But for the vast majority of people, it has now become impossible as a single individual to have enough buying power to buy just the average home right now.
yeah.
You have to have two sources of income, or you have to be making the equivalent to that.
One of my sons is a banker. I do not hold that against him, by the way, but he has a pretty good job by definition right out of college. He cannot afford the entry-level home on an entry-level income at the bank.
Yeah, I think the big problem with affordability is that a home, I'll take our parents as an example. My parents bought a house that was 2 times dad's salary. Now, that was not a lot. It was an entry-level house at the time. He's a school teacher, but he was making 10 grand. He bought a house for 19.5. Now, the house factor to the salary is a 4 times or a 5 times the salary factor. No matter what your interest rate is, the structure of that loan is cost prohibitive. It's too much for the income.
Yeah.
So affordability is a serious issue right now, and it will work itself out. How that happens, I don't know, but
that's the fear that I have. When it works itself out, somebody's going to get left holding a bag. What I envision is the house that somebody said is worth $283 today, before this is all said and done, is going to be worth $210 5 years from now.
Mm-hmm. Well, that'll create a whole new set of problems. That was 2008, where people owed $200 on a house that's worth $120, and they made the business decision to walk away and flooded the market with cheap bank-owned properties.
Yep. So I think that is going to be coming back soon. 3 years, 4 years.
So how do you capitalize on that? Because whenever there's turmoil, you have to think in the view of opportunity. So having some money on hand or being ready to buy.
So here's the question. Is that, you and I would call that capitalizing. There are going to be people that villainize those people, and they're doing it now. You know, BlackRock buying all those single family homes and renting them out. People are vilifying them right now, but they see it as capitalizing because they are going to make a shit ton of money between when they bought them and when they sell them. So your question is, yes, you and I think, how can we capitalize on somebody's impending problems? And I think the answer to that is to be sitting on cash.
I think the problem
is cash is king.
Yeah.
The problem is happening whether we swoop in and after the problem is resolved or not. It matters not to them. I mean, I understand the villain a little bit about that, but if you don't have buyers of things, you don't create a market of things. So we need that to happen, and we need to have cycles.
Yeah, so that's a good point. I meant that potentially is going to happen whether I come in and buy your house cash or not. So people do vilify those kind of people, but in essence, like you said, they've got to get out of that deal. And if they can sell it and get out of it, you are in essence helping them to some extent. So you've got to keep that in mind, even though there are going to be people that say, well, you're an asshole. You drove them into foreclosure. No, I didn't, but I am helping them out of foreclosure.
Or I bought a house cheap and now I rent it out for a modest amount of money, and I'm creating a household for a family that couldn't afford it 2 years ago. It's easy to look back and point at the villain in something, but honest truth, there are people that capitalize on opportunities and people that get burned. So, in every transaction, I mean, there should be two winners in capitalism, but not everybody views it that way. So one side has to be losing.
Well, you can be a winner and not win as much as the other person. I mean, I think that happens a lot. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, it is a win-win. If somebody buys it and is able to rent it, and then somebody is able to rent that house from that person, it is a win-win. Those people needed some place to live. They have a place now that they can afford to live, and the person that bought it is able to make money off of what they've done. That's still win-win. It's on two different spectrums, but it is still win-win.
I think you're on the spectrum.
Maybe.
You know, when all the condos in Florida came dirt cheap in 08 and 09, people swept in and bought those, but it also creates booms in the construction and all the other local trades and things like that. So, excuse me, it isn't bad for a community that maybe things change or recycle.
Well, here's another thought for you, too. I think that if you have people that are buying these homes and using them as rentals for other people, that may be the only way we combat some of what we're seeing in the insurance industry as well. Because people can't afford to, on their own right now, insurance is pricing a lot of people out too, or insurance is keeping people from buying a house. Whereas if someone is coming in, paying in cash, buying that house, turning it into a rental, you know, they can get a rental policy pretty easily because of that. So, you know, maybe that's a way to help fix and stabilize some of that market as well.
Here's another problem that I have, and Colin said it real quick in passing, but I'm going to go out here and probably get yelled at by a lot of licensed real estate agents. I think that there is a problem when licensed real estate people show houses to people, clients, without those clients actually knowing what they can afford. They're not setting the expectation of the buyer client, and they're ultimately shooting themselves in the foot, because what they get is this guy goes, oh, I want to look at this $300,000 house, and I fall in love with it. They call Colin, and he goes, you can afford $250,000. And now they look at 250 houses and go, I don't like that.
I heard a funny noise.
Because I've already seen the $300,000 house.
Well, what we just said at lunch, and that's true. I would often just kind of on a whim, somebody will talk to me, and if they tell me they've got 725 credit and they've got money in the bank, I mean, pretty much I know I can qualify them for something, but without them applying and me seeing all the details, I don't know exactly how much. But if somebody said, I've got 720 credit, I've got money saved up, I'd like to see some of the cheapest houses in Center Grove. That doesn't actually compute right now, as we just observed.
Yeah.
Entry-level house we saw listed by our friend, $265, 3-bed, 2-bath, in one of the least expensive neighborhoods in Center Grove.
And my son's making $24 an hour as a banker and can't afford that house. So
more interesting question to me, and we talked about this at lunch too, is what kind of solution is out there for the market in the short term while we wait on things to shift? How can we solve the problem if there is not an affordable house for certain people?
I think I have a solution, but I'm going to hesitate putting it out here right now. I think there's going to be a shift in the mindset of homeowners as to what is going to be considered entry-level homes.
When my wife is from out of the country, and when we began acclimating to Indianapolis, you guys can notice this too. As you drive down 65 from downtown, it's almost like a time capsule. At first, you see all the early 1900 monstrous homes, like the big four squares with 5 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms, no garage. Then you move into the World War II GI Bill homes, which are tiny bungalows and 2 bedroom, 1 bath. And then you move on in the 80s and the 90s are ridiculous big brick custom homes with pools. And then you move into the 2000s and it's big vinyl neighborhoods right next to each other. But it's a time capsule of what the decades have the modern house look like in each decade. And I think you're right. I think we're going to see maybe a return to modesty, a little bit more, a little smaller, more functional, practical home without maybe nice finishes, but not as big of a home, not as much.
See, I think that's what I'm talking about. My wife and I, and it's just my wife and I, we live in a 3-story, 4,400 square foot house. Why? There is absolutely no reason why.
When's the last time you were upstairs?
I have not been upstairs in my own house in the upper level in probably 7 months. I don't need it. So I think Colin is correct. I think the new trend is going to be smaller square footprint, but maybe nicer amenities, crown molding, hard surface kitchen tops, but back to 1,300 square feet, 1,100 square feet, not these 4,000 square foot houses that people are building.
Now you're talking about
a change in people's habits for why they move. They're not going to just move because they're bored and they feel like moving. They're going to move because work is taking them there, or they're going to stay put.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be a new word that's going to resurge because my parents and both of your parents and grandparents they sacrificed things that maybe we don't feel like we should sacrifice, But you know what I'm talking about. When I was a kid, we did not take vacations. We did not do anything. We had one car. We had one television. We did not even have air conditioning in the house.
Yeah.
Dad was a school teacher. Mom stayed home. And now as a kid, I did not know I was sacrificing these things because I just didn't know what I was missing. But someone that goes and lives in a 4,400 square foot open floor plan, with everything.
We didn't have air conditioning till I was almost 16 years old. But Mom and Dad had the window air conditioner, and then they hung the sheet up in the hallway to keep it, just in the back couple bedrooms.
Damn, you guys are old.
Somehow my father convinced me that him having a fan in the window to the outside of the house would circulate air through the whole upstairs and keep us cool in the other room on the other side of the house. And I'm sweating my what's off 82 degrees under, with no blanket on, like, oh, I'm glad Dad has this fan.
Well, we lived in a ranch. I grew up in a ranch house, and it was my bedroom on the end and Mom and Dad's next to it. But they hung the sheet in the hallway and then kept their door open and my door open so the air would circulate in there. Now, my younger brother, he got screwed. So they eventually did move the curtain down the hallway to include his bedroom.
The anomaly in history was the 3% interest rates for 10 or 12 years. That is the anomaly. And what that allowed people to do was tremendously increase what they could buy for a period of time. So everyone got used to this tremendously, basically free money, building a huge house, refinancing, home prices were going up. They had equity. They tapped into it for 3%, and they built on pools and this and that. So people have been spoiled with the circumstances for the last 15 years.
Yeah.
especially before the last 2 years, and it's now kind of crept its way back to normal.
Yes, you in the
But I would
back.
also say it's not just in the real estate side of things. The other thing that is hamstringing people are, I will admit it, I have a propensity to want to have a nice vehicle and spend more than I probably should to drive that. That is also, even a vehicle that is inexpensive now, uh, you know, $25,000 or $30,000 car is still almost a $500 a month payment right now with interest rates.
That's
So if
called
you've got two people with that car payment, you've already, you've hamstrung yourself on that house too. So we're going to probably see an era where people are either staying put and have nice things, or they decide the things aren't quite as important and I can have a nicer house, or people that are doing both on the lower end and staying more fluid.
that is called the Trester syndrome
Yes.
with the new cars.
What? The tires are bad? Oh, just trade the car in. Let's just get a new car.
This will be a painful culture shift, though. You guys realize? I mean, in my estimation, people don't want to give up what they have grown accustomed to. So there's going to be pain involved
Yeah.
in this shift that will come.
For those of you out there, I'd like to actually say he's not joking. He's been through 6 or 7 cars in 4 years. So, but while you're here, please smash the like button and the notification. If you'd like to come on and join us as the fourth seat, put something in the comments and our producer will get with you. We're always looking for people in the business arena, real estate.
We need to talk to an event planner. That's who we need to invite on right now.
Yeah.
To talk about successful events.
If you're an event planner, reach out to us. We have started thinking about a 5 Stones event, a 2-day seminar. So if you're an event planner, reach out to us. We'd like to talk to you as well.
Let me tell you what we don't need. We do not need comments from people that would like to be our SEO coordinator. So if you're going to just come on here and spam us with that stuff, I can guarantee you, if you spam the producer with that stuff, you will not get a gig. So don't spam with that.
You could be improving your YouTube results, man.
That could be.
And Google has called me at least 3 times today to tell me my business needs to be on page 1.
Hey, have a great day.
Yeah.
We're running out of time.
Yeah. Thank you. And like I said, hit the like button and the subscribe. Help us help you with better content. Peace out.
Harumph.